Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Question from Dan today. To overgrip or not to overgrip? That is the question. I will have an answer as long as you stay tuned. All right. To overgrip or not to overgrip? Enough with the Shakespeare. On with the coffee. If you want to support my channel and stop me raving about Hamlet and, you know he was crazy, right? Anyways, if you want to support the channel, it's buymeacoffee.com/tennis spin. Link is below. Okay, so what am I talking about? To overgrip or not to overgrip? All right, so question about grips. Why use overgrips if replacement grips are already good? Hence, Head Hydrazor Pro, which is what I use, and the Babolat Evo replacement grips, which is good too. I'm a 4.5 grip without an overgrip and a 4 3/8 with an overgrip. Thanks, Dan. Well, Dan, that is a question of the tennis century, right? I have people that walk in here all the time, right? As soon as they buy a racket, before I could even take the plastic off, I was like, can you put an overgrip on it? And I'm like, all right, well, I thought that those people were from like 20, 30 years ago when it was a wooden racket or a steel racket and you had leather and you had to put an overgrip on it or else you would, get calluses on your hand. But it seems like it's passed through a couple generations and people still do it today. I tell people, but it's something that's kind of ingrained in their tennis minds. So I'm going to call in some reinforcements on this question a little bit today. Coach Rob is in the house with me today. Coach Rob, do you use an overgrip?
No, not if I have a choice. I would rather not.
Okay, so let's backtrack a bit. You and I are of the same generation. Did you use an overgrip back in the day of leather?
Back in the day with leather, I did, and I'd sit there and I'd be all meticulous trying to get it just right. And then I'd play with it, and then it would come apart, and I'd start all over again. And so I just kind of gave up on it and just got used to playing without it.
So leather, my man played with leather. Okay, so today, in today's racket that you get from Wilson, you obviously don't use an overgrip.
No.
Okay.
4 5/8 is my grip size. So
4 5/8 is my man's grip size. So this is the question. 4 5/8 is slowly becoming extinct. What if they wiped out 4 5/8?
If they do wipe out 4 5/8, Harry would be seeing a lot more of me because I'd be coming in with my 4.5 saying, build it up. Okay. Throw a sleeve on there for me, Harry, and let's get it back to a 5/8.
So my man is pretty anti-overgrip here.
I just got tired of doing it all the time when I was playing, and so I just got used to the feel without it. There'll be some times where I grab a racket with a 4.5 and I'll just throw an overgrip on it to teach with or whatever if I break a string with my 5/8, but I like the feel of a regular grip.
Okay, so like myself, you guys who've been watching the channel for a while know that I don't use overgrip either, because I grip so many rackets daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, that I don't want to put my own on. So when I love the feel of Hydrazor Pro. It's not too tacky, it's not too dry. It allows me to change grip pretty quickly instead of hitting the brakes when it's too tacky or drying up my hands so that I get calluses. That's my reasoning for it. So, but everybody seems to have the overgrip ingrained into the head. So I'm gonna pose this question on Coach Andrew next, and then we'll have his younger thoughts on why he does it. All right, so I got Coach Andrew Goot here, and we all know he uses an overgrip. Coach Goot, why overgrip? Why overgrip?
For me, I always grown up using one. So for me, the replacement grips are a little too neutral. What I mean by that is when I use an overgrip, I prefer a little more tackiness to it. So for me, I actually sweat a little bit more in my hands. So therefore, if I use a replacement grip in general, it actually slips. And for me, they don't last as long. So any replacement grip I see, I pretty much tear it down to probably within less than a week. And for me, it's not very cost effective. It's very expensive to change them. But for me, using overgrips, it provides that extra tackiness that I need. And I've always been growing up playing with it, and I still do it to this day. It's just to provide extra tackiness to my hands. It just feels great, honestly, in my opinion.
Because I get the opposite. I feel like the replacement grip lasts me like 3 weeks versus a overgrip lasts me like 3 hours. So because I tear up that overgrip so quickly.
Yeah.
I
agree. Yeah. I mean, I think it's for me because I used to tear up the replacement grips because they lose that tackiness. Because when they come out of the factory, they're pretty slick in my opinion. So that's why I don't feel confident in playing in those, and I do tear them even faster than the overgrips. That's what I feel like.
You're probably gripping a little tighter because it's not as tacky to your hand.
Yeah, so that's why I every time I play with a replacement grip or a racket that has a replacement grip, I feel really uncomfortable because I'm afraid that it will slip out of my hand because most of the replacement grips are pretty neutral. In my case, they rip off a little easier off my hand.
Got it. So how often do you change a replacement grip? Or overgrip. How often do you change your overgrip?
When I was in my college days, I used to pop strings maybe once a week, twice a week. So that's when I actually replace them.
Okay.
So pretty often. But nowadays, since I'm coaching a lot, probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even maximum a month. But I'm usually around 2 to 3 weeks.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to thank my man, Coach Andrew, for answering this question. Where can we find you, Goo?
You can find me at AGU.tennis. I'll also be posting content there as well.
All right. So here's my final take on this. I don't use an overgrip because like I said, I put on too many overgrips daily, weekly, forever. But the other thing is it also wears out too quickly for me. So I tear them up on the bottom very, very quickly because they're so thin. I haven't really found an overgrip that I really like that isn't overly tacky or overly dry. So if your personal reason is that you want a fresh, tacky feel all the time, or a nice dry feel that absorbs all your sweatiness, then by all means use an overgrip. But don't bring me an overgrip that looks like it's been on there for 10 years. Okay, so that's not a good excuse. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so those of you who use overgrips, right, make sure you change them. Okay, because HO is not good. Hand odor, I gotta smell it. Anyways, so I know if you want to build up your grip a little bit, totally get it. Okay, totally get it. Coach Rob, heart set on 5/8, leaving it that way. Don't want to make it a hair over that. Okay. Coach Goo, just used to it. Just loves the feel. Fresh grip, just like a fresh diaper. Okay? Who doesn't like a fresh diaper? All right. So, to grip or not to grip? To overgrip or not to overgrip? That is the question. It's like, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Right? The answer may never be answered, or the question may never be answered. And it's personal preference, and we will leave it there. I want to thank my man, Coach Andrew Goo, for showing us the way with the Overgrip. And I want to thank my man, Coach Rob Jessen, for saying, no, we don't need an Overgrip. Thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.